And without having the ability to ask God, how did you do this, right? It doesn't really get us anywhere. It goes back to the whole, thing like the argument from contingency, that if God created the universe, if God created everything, that is one possible metaphysical explanation, yes. But there are other options, as you pointed out. There's multiple options. It could be an infinite regress. It could be, a brute fact. And I don't see positing something saying, okay, God explains this as an explanation. Is that?
Well, what is there in science that requires there to be an explanation?
None actually. I mean, I agree. I don't think there actually is a requirement. I don't subscribe to principle of sufficient reason. I do accept brute facts. I do accept foundationalism. I do accept axiomatic assumptions. But I think science at least assumes that there's a possibility of some kind of explanation, right? I mean, so if we see a tornado, and we say, "Hey, how does this work?" We assume there has to be a natural phenomenon having a natural explanation. And if we can't figure it out, science says, hey, we're unable to figure that out until such point they learn more about science. And they usually go back and revisit something and go, hey, look, yeah, we didn't know how to do that 20 years ago. We know now we can explain this.
I think that's where I think that's where I want to jump in on this is, we've kind of been digging down into origins of life, about the Big Bang, things that are natural, and trying to find what the origins are. And of course, like when we discuss this, like there are so many things that are in the breadth of what we would consider supernatural. But just talking on that, I think Mark posited the question about at what point do we entertain the idea that it could be supernatural. And I think that there is a lending in the scientific community and in the skeptic community of anti-supernatural presuppositionalism. And
you just made that up, didn't you?
Yes, I did. that we're presupposing, where we've already decided that it is not supernatural. Period. So exactly what you just said, Steve.
Well, that's science, though. Science does that. Now,
that isn't science. Science is supposed to say where does the evidence lead?
No,
and if you start out with that it is absolutely not supernatural, that is not necessarily
that's not what science says. Science says it cannot posit a supernatural causation. It doesn't say one can't exist. It doesn't take a stand on either way. Stephen Jay Gould had a really good term called non-overlapping magisteria, which basically said, hey, you know what? You've got two different domains, two different teachings. You have religion and you have science, right? And science talks about this, theology and religion talk about this, and they just stay in their lanes, right? That's fine. A theological explanation for something, if a philosophical explanation for something, if people posit a God as something along those lines in philosophy, that's fine. It doesn't work for science, though, because here's the thing: if science allows for those types of causations, then God or any other supernatural being could supposedly change the laws of physics at any time, right? He has that ability to do so. If he created the laws of physics, he can change them on a dime, and that goes against humans' uniformity of nature. So we assume there's some kind of uniformity there. We assume that the sun's going to rise tomorrow because it rose every other day, right? We assume that the laws of logic will work tomorrow. But if God exists, it throws that out the window. Science goes
it doesn't, because that's a character thing now of whatever said God you're talking about. There's a presupposition there that God will be capricious and change things up, and so therefore we cannot know. So yes, even what you said, Steve, is that science will hit the pause button if there's not something that's readily explainable.